Hello again, this is the Paradise Unicorn Priestess bringing you day 57 of A Course in Miracles. This would be February 26th if you are starting from the new year, and this is the Yin translation of A Course in Miracles where we use female words. The extension of the realm. Only you can limit your creative power, but God wills to release it. She no more wills you to deprive yourself of your creations than she wills to deprive herself of hers. Do not withhold your gifts to the childship, or you withhold yourself from God. Selfishness is of the ego, but self-fullness is of spirit, because that is how God created it. The Holy Spirit is in the part of the mind that lies between the ego and the spirit, mediating between them, always in favor of the spirit. To the ego, this is partiality, and it responds as if it were being sided against. To spirit, this is truth, because it knows its fullness and cannot conceive of any part from which it is excluded. Spirit knows that the awareness of all its sisters is included in its own, as it is included in God. The power of the whole childship and its creator is therefore Spirit's own fullness, rendering its creations equally whole and equal in perfection. The ego cannot prevail against a totality that includes God, and any totality must include God. Everything she created is given all her power because it is part of her and shares her being with her. Creating is the opposite of loss, as blessing is the opposite of sacrifice. Being must be extended. That is how it retains the knowledge of itself. Spirit yearns to share its being as its creator did. Created by sharing, its will is to create. It does not wish to contain God, but wills to extend her being. The extension of God's being is Spirit's only function. Its fullness cannot be contained any more than can the fullness of its creator. Fullness is extension. The ego's whole thought system blocks extension, and thus blocks your only function. It therefore blocks your joy, so that you perceive yourself as unfulfilled. Unless you create, you are unfulfilled, but God does not know unfulfillment, and therefore you must create. You may not know your own creations, but this can no more interfere with their reality than your unawareness of your spirit can interfere with its being. The realm is forever extending, because it is in the mind of God. You do not know your joy, because you do not know your own self-fullness. Exclude any part of the realm from yourself, and you are not whole. A split mind cannot perceive its fullness, and needs the miracle of its wholeness to dawn upon it and heal it. This reawakens the wholeness in it, and restores it to the realm because of its acceptance of wholeness. The full appreciation of the mind's selffulness makes selfishness impossible, and extension inevitable. That is why there is perfect peace in the realm. Spirit is fulfilling its function, and only complete fulfillment is peace. Your creations are protected for you because the Holy Spirit, who is in your mind, knows of them and can bring them into your awareness whenever you will let her. They are there as part of your own being, because your fulfillment includes them. The creations of every child of God are yours, since every creation belongs to everyone, and being created for the childship as a whole. You have not failed to increase the inheritance of the children of God, and thus have not failed to secure it for yourself, since it was the will of God to give it to you. She gave it forever. Since it was her will that you have it forever, she gave you the means for keeping it, and you have done so. Disobeying God's will is meaningful only to the insane. In truth, it is impossible. Your self-fullness is as boundless as God's. Like hers, it extends forever and in perfect peace. Its radiance is so intense that it creates in perfect joy, and only the whole can be born of its wholeness. Be confident that you have never lost your identity and the extensions which maintain it in wholeness and peace. Miracles are an expression of this confidence. They are reflections of both your proper identification with your sisters and your awareness that your identification is maintained by extension. The miracle is a lesson in total perception. By including any part of totality in the lesson, you have included the whole. And lesson 57 is review of lessons 31 through 35. Today, let us review these ideas. 31. I am not the victim of the world I see. How can I be the victim of a world that can be completely undone if I so choose? My chains are loosened. I can drop them off merely by desiring to do so. The prison door is open. I can leave simply by walking out. Nothing holds me in this world. Only my wish to stay keeps me a prisoner. I would give up my insane wishes to walk into the sunlight at last. 32. I have invented the world I see. I made up the prison in which I see myself. All I need do is recognize this and I am free. I have deluded myself into believing it is possible to imprison the child of God. I was bitterly mistaken in this belief, which I no longer want. The child of God must be forever free. She is as God created her and not what I would make of her. She is where God would have her be, not where I thought to hold her prisoner. 33. There is another way of looking at the world. Since the purpose of the world is not one I ascribe to it, there must be another way of looking at it. I see everything upside down, and my thoughts are the opposite of truth. I see the world as a prison for God's child. It must be, then, that the world is really a place where she can be set free. I would look upon the world as it is, and see it as a place where the child of God finds her freedom. 34. I could see peace instead of this. When I see the world as a place of freedom, I realize that it reflects the laws of God instead of the rules I made up for it to obey. I will understand that peace, not war, abides in it. And I will perceive that peace also abides in the hearts of all who share this place with me. 35. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. As I share the peace of the world with my sisters, I begin to understand that this peace comes from deep within myself. The world I look upon has taken on the light of my forgiveness and shines forgiveness back at me. In this light, I begin to see what my illusions about myself kept hidden. I begin to understand the holiness of all living things, including myself, and their oneness with me. Okay, there you go. May your practice be sweet. Until next time.